Now it's time for today's perspective on the programme. And at the age of 10 and 12, Melati and Isabel Wijsen were lucky enough to have an inspiring lesson at their school in Bali. Now, it was a lesson that told them about significant people such as Nelson Mandela, Princess Diana and Mahatma Gandhi. Now, the two enjoyed that lesson so much that they felt so inspired that once home they asked themselves, what can we do as children living in Bali now to make a difference? Well, in the end, they formed the NGO Bye Bye Plastic Bags, and it's grown into a real movement of inspiration and empowerment for young people. Well, Melati Wijsen joins us now live from the Paris Peace Forum, which is being held here in Paris this week. We've been covering that, of course, here on the channel. Great to have you with us today. First of all, just tell us why you were so inspired by this lesson that you had all those years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think next to the lesson, we were just so inspired by what was possible throughout history, how people have really changed their communities. And at the same time, growing up on the island of Bali, Indonesia being the second largest source of plastic pollution, it was in our everyday. Plastic was just so in our face, there was no escaping it. And so that was a real trigger point for us to say, okay, enough. What is someone going to do about it? And how can we do something about it?
So you did decide to do something about it. Tell us exactly what you did.
Yeah, so, at the time, being 10 and 12, we did a little bit of research, and what we came to learn was that 40 other countries around the world had banned single-use plastic bags. So my sister and I turned to each other, and we literally said, 40 other countries had done it? Come on, Bali, come on, Indonesia, we can also do it. And that's really the birthplace and the birth story of Bye Bye Plastic Bags. No business plan, no strategy, but just the pure passion and intention of what we're seeing happen all around the world of young people finding their passion and not waiting for anybody to give them permission to start taking action.
And do you think you've actually managed to do something with the organisation? What difference have you made?
Yeah, so for the last 6 years, we've been campaigning. We've gone into educational classrooms, giving talks, workshops. We've spoken to over 60,000 students and created 2 educational booklets. But I'm proud to share with you today, thanks to the effort of so many people on the island of Bali, we have this year finally celebrated the implementation on the ban of single-use plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam. So yeah,
big achievement.
We're really, really proud, but the work is still, yes, but there is still a lot of work, and what we've realized is the end solution isn't banning plastic bags. The work is just beginning, but also more what we've learned is through the last 6 years, our massive passion has evolved into empowering other young people. How can we scale up this mindset of every young person who looks at what we're doing has this feeling that they can do the same?
You talk about mindset there. I mean, how difficult has it actually been to get what you've achieved? I mean, presumably some people do fight back against what you're telling them.
I think a lot of the times, especially the work that we're doing and what young people around the world are trying to do is actually change mindset. And that can sometimes be the most challenging thing because what we're going up against is really people's comfort. And that's what we need to break, challenging the status quo, understanding that the way that we're going right now is not working for us. So how can we change that? And I think the biggest thing that we have to unlearn is the fact that we think we have to sacrifice a lot when we want to make a difference or when we want to be a part of the change. And in fact, it only takes everyday small commitments that you're changing in your everyday life. Whether it's beginning with saying no to plastic bags or a plastic straw or a plastic bottle, everything adds up, and we have to understand our value as an individual can contribute to a massive change in our communities. But it starts with us.
Yeah, and it starts with you, and as you say, you've done the Bye Bye Plastic Bags, but what next? Because you really do want to take it further, don't you, and try and empower particularly young people to fight further for what they believe in.
So after 6 years of bioplastic bags, having spoken to over 60,000 students, I think we've really connected and seen the potential, but also this longing of the younger generation to get involved, to understand how they can have the relevant skills, the relevant knowledge to be able to go back into their communities and be one of those game changers on the front lines. So introducing to you our next project, which is Youth Topia, all about empowering young people through education, peer-to-peer style, and heavily inspired by the 17 SDG United Nations goals.
I'm going to mention the name that I'm sure everybody's thinking of, and I'm sure you hear it all the time as well, Greta Thunberg. I mean, obviously, there is this real movement, is there, amongst young people, particularly on issues of climate change? I mean, do you feel that younger people are getting more and more involved and more concerned as well about what's happening to the planet?
Look, we are getting way more concerned, but we're seeing it, and it's undeniable. We can't ignore it. We're not turning our away from this, and I think it's what we're seeing now, and what Youthopia really addresses, is that currently the education system is so broken that our school systems are not providing us with the relevant knowledge for us to be able to go outside of the classroom and actually impact and be a part of the change. That's what we want to have. So what Youthopia is going to do is bring all of that knowledge from people on the front line, our 6 years worth of knowledge, getting people like Greta, like amazing young frontline activists to compile lesson plans for other young people to be able to say, okay, so that's how they did it. I can relate to that, and now I'm going to implement it in my communities. I think that we all are really longing for a tangible action plan that we can implement once we've joined a gathering, once we've felt that sense of belonging in these huge protests that are happening. But how do we channel that frustration into real impact? And that's, again, finding that one tangible goal, that one passion that you can fight for. And for us, me and my sister, that really started with the story of Bye Bye Plastic Bags, and now venturing into helping other young people find their passions.
Let's talk about where you are as well. We can see the Paris Peace Forum getting underway again for a second day there behind you. I mean, why are you there and what are you hoping to achieve there?
So I am here at the Paris Peace Forum. I spoke yesterday on a panel with several other activists in the anti-plastic space, and I think what I am here to do is really to expand. I'm continuously learning when I'm entering conference spaces like this. I'm only 18, and I think instead of going to university, I have the honor of coming to places like this, where I'm learning just as much, but also to network and to really learn about what is really happening out there in the world, what is lacking out there in the world, and how can we fill in those gaps, and how can I create networks and build bridges for me to understand a global view of solutions.
Melati, great to talk to you on the programme today. Nice and inspiring as well. Melati Wijsen joining us there from the Paris Police Forum from Bye Bye Plastic Bags. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme today.
Thank you.